disciples of Moses. Who are you? We know that God spoke to Moses, but as for this fellow Jesus, we don't even know where he comes from. You're relying on somebody that doesn't even have any credentials? And the man answers this. He says sarcastically, now that's quite remarkable. You don't know where he comes from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not, he's using logic now, we know that God does not listen to sinners. He listens to the godly man who does his will. Nobody has ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. So he's using logic. He says, look, you're saying this man's a sinner. Yet we know that God doesn't listen to sinners. But who here has ever seen somebody that was blind get healed from blindness? It doesn't happen. We're not talking about the doctors doing some laser surgery now. We're talking about without the use of anything but some mud. Try that down at Cedar Sinai. Bring some mud in and ask the best guy there to take a blind man and help him see. Ha! That's what we're talking about. We know God doesn't listen to sinners. We know that this man used to be blind. This man was used by God. Therefore, this man must be from God. You see the logical progression? And his word goes from Jesus was a man to Jesus was a prophet. Now he says Jesus was from God. I'm going to drop way down to verse 38. Well, we got to take that up to 35. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out. So they threw this guy out. So let's just continue verse 34. To this they replied, this is the Pharisees, you're steeped in sin at birth. You big lousy sinner, you. How dare you dirty rotten sinner lecture us, the leaders of the church? And they threw him out. They excommunicated him. What his parents were afraid of, he got. So he's now thrown out of the church. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out. And when he found him, he says, do you believe in the Son of Man? Some translations actually say the Son of God. The NIV has used Son of Man here. And the Son of Man, I think, is probably closer to what was said, but there are some early manuscripts that actually say Son of God. The preponderance say Son of Man. Who is he, sir, the Son of Man? Who is he, sir, the formerly blind man asked? Tell me so that I may believe in him. And Jesus says, you have now seen him. Up till now, you didn't see a thing. And you've been arguing with the leaders of the church, and you didn't see it there. But listen, the guy that's talking to you right now, that you're looking two on two, my eyes to your eyes, this, me, is the Son of Man. I am the Son of God. He is the one speaking with you. And then the man said, Lord, says this to Jesus, Lord, I believe. Listen, is it time this morning for you to change allegiance? Have you moved from calling Jesus a man or a prophet, or maybe even from God, but you've never quite gotten to the point that you would say, Lord? Paul says in Romans 10 that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and if you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, and I did that day so long ago, Paul says, and I say to you, based on the authority of Scripture, you will be saved from eternal damnation. Is today your day? I know we've gone so fast through this. The 45 minutes have come and gone. And we really haven't done justice to what Christ has said here. But if there's one thing I want for you, if today's your day, I don't want you to say no any longer. If that line has been drawn in the sand and you've never quite gone over the line and said, okay, I'm calling you Lord. In other words, I'm calling you Master. I'm giving my life to you. I'm giving control. I'm handing you the reins. You do with me what you want to do. You've never done that. You need to do it now. I remember talking in a college so many years ago. Betty was with me and talking about like we're talking now, not about this passage, but just kind of a frank talk. Don't put it off. And one of the boys left that place and got on his motorcycle and left the college and was driving to town and hit a tree and died. Things happen. Things happen. If you're at the point of crossing the line, I want you to do it now. I don't want you to put it off one more day. I don't want you to put it off till lunchtime. I want you to do it now. If what Paul said is true, here's what you need to do. You say something like this inside to God. You just say, oh God, I realize I'm a beggar. God, I've done a lot of bad things. I probably broke a lot of those 10 commandments. I failed in obeying the law. I realize I'm guilty. And while I've heard this so many times, I've realized today that Jesus paid the price, paid the penalty for me. And today I'm willing and ready to receive it. I'm going to cross the line. I'm no longer going to owe Satan my life. I'm going to owe my life to Jesus, the one who bought it. And today, Jesus, I'm making you my master. I'm letting you take control. I want to be your man. I want to be your woman from this day forward. And friends, if you are serious with Jesus about that, today is a day that up in heaven itself, Jesus tells us the angels themselves, billions of angels, over 6 billion angels, are rejoicing. If you make that decision, we're going to be happy. Your mom's going to be happy. There's going to be over 6 billion angels rejoicing today in heaven because of one lost sinner like you crossing the line. Now, while you think about that, I'm going to ask the ushers to come forward, Jeff to come forward. I want us to have the opportunity to worship. This seems such an awkward way to do this to me, but this is the way we're doing it, I guess. But we're going to take our offering. I want us to have the opportunity to worship. Jeff said in